Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Eli, and today we're going to be talking about the biggest lessons learned from my first two energy audits as a CEM, Certified Energy Manager. Ooh. That's put on by the Association of Energy Engineers. And the things that I'm going to be talking about were some of the lessons that I learned as a newbie into this energy auditing, and then also some interesting things to consider that were not talked about during the CEM training. Before we get into all of these lessons and things to consider, let me tell you the backstory on how I got to do these two energy audits. So I was taking the on-demand course, and I had finished all of the coursework, and I was studying for the exam and just kind of preparing for that. And I thought, hey, why don't I reach out to some facilities in my local area and see if I can perform an energy audit on them. I will get practice doing these energy audits, and they'll get a free energy audit. So I thought it would be mutually beneficial. Reached out to a few facilities in the area, and the two that I ended up performing the energy audits on were two churches that also had classrooms and kitchens and things like that. And so I thought they were good candidates to perform the energy audits on. After reaching out to the two sites, I scheduled a walkthrough with both facilities. So for the first one, I got to walk through with a facilities manager. This guy was very knowledgeable in all of the things that were going on in his site and had projects that he was working on in order to improve the energy efficiency. The other site, they didn't have a dedicated facilities manager. They kind of shared the responsibilities amongst some of the people that worked in the office. So I walked around with them, also saw some of the things that they were looking at potentially doing. I got all of the monthly bills from the last 12 months, put them in the Energy Star website, and unsurprisingly, the site that had a dedicated facilities manager, they ranked their Energy Star score was a 93, so they were in the top 7% of churches. And then the other site, their Energy Star score was a 65, so that puts them in the top 35%. So not terrible, but obviously some room for improvement there. So here's the top three lessons that I learned. 1, come more prepared. 2, take lots of photos and notes. And number 3, be considerate when you're making your recommendations. So number 1, come prepared and do your research basically. So there's a lot of tools that you can use online in order to gather a lot of data before you even get to the facility. So 1, Google Maps. Go on there, look at the layout of the facility. You can see what they have on their roofs, maybe if they have separate buildings, things like that. Another tool is county websites. So if you go on any county website, you can find out a lot of information around if they've done renovations, when they added additions, things like that. You can see a lot of times little sketches to see where the building layouts are at. You can also find when it was built. And the other one is on that site is being able to find square footage of, of the facilities. The last thing I'll say about coming prepared is to try and understand what their main energy users are. So you may not know exactly what they are before getting there, but if it's anything except for manufacturing or a data center or something like that, it's probably going to be their HVAC system. Now, there are a ton of great resources on YouTube. There's one couple videos by the Engineering Mindset. I'll put a link down below. Really, really solid videos walking you through exactly all the components and what things people have done in order to find efficiencies. It was funny, even in some of the training videos with Dr. Eric Woodruff, he mentions about, oh yeah, I need to watch those videos every now and then to kind of refresh myself. Or so those 3 tools, Google Maps, the county website, and then YouTube are awesome tools that you can use to really set yourself apart. So when you show up there meeting with the person, you don't have to ask, oh, what's your square footage? Oh, I see, if you show up and say, oh yeah, so I saw that this extension was put on in 2004, they're going to be like, oh, okay, they're going to take you much more serious. The second part of this is to have questions ready for them. So after you've done your initial research, hopefully there's some things that you can think about of like, oh yeah, maybe this, and this are ways that need to get a little bit more information to understand how they use this space, things like that. If you find out, example, with these churches that they have classrooms, trying to understand what their schedule, when people come in and out, and then you can, come up with ideas about, okay, well, they may be able to do this and that as far as energy efficiency. The other part is before you show up, kind of ask them questions so they have a much better idea of what it is that you're looking for. And then a special note around the utilities bills, make sure that if they can just give you digital copies or physical copies of the full bills. I ran into a couple situations where, and it was separate from these ones, where I got the energy bills, but it wasn't any of the actual information that I needed. It was more uh, some of the financial stuff, but it didn't actually show total energy usage. It was a little bit strange, or other people just showed me, oh, here's what, in the last 12 months, here's what I spent on my electricity. And so it was like, well, I see that you spent $300, $400, but when you talk about commercial facilities, a lot of them, if you don't know the rate, there's a lot of different variables that could get up to that amount. So a special note about when you ask for those, asking more specifically for a copy of what you get from your utility provider. Second lesson learned is take lots of photos. And when I say that, like even more, even more photos than what you think you initially had, and even if you have an opportunity to take some videos, take videos. A lot of times, you go there, think you're doing a good job, take 10 times the photos that you need. But with phones, it's so easy. You can, if you don't need them, you can delete them, but it's better to have extra. And I think it's one of the things, as you get more practice with energy audits, that you'll have a better idea of what you need to take photos. But as a newbie, I wish I would have taken way more photos. So then you don't have to go back and ask, oh wait, can you send me a photo of this office area? I didn't get exactly adding where the windows were at, where the heaters, what kind of heaters, what the lighting was like, that kind of stuff. If you have photos of it, it's really easy just to go back and see every nameplate of the boilers and the HVAC equipment. Take all of that. That way you can kind of get an idea of, okay, here's where it's at. Here's maybe how old. Here's the efficiency or how all of it works. Take up close and detailed. Then also remember to take broader, wide view so that you know exactly where it fits into the room. And the third lesson that I learned, and this was not in the training for the CEM course at all, but it was something that I pretty quickly learned, was to be pretty considerate about how you make your recommendation. You have to be considerate and maybe a little bit political as you make your recommendation. The facility that had just the facility manager, I sent it to them and kind of their office manager, a few more people. And in my mind, I thought that I was more praising that facility manager for doing such a good job and putting them in the top 7% of churches across the nation. And the recommendations I had for them, were to review their HVAC settings on their thermostats. They may be able to manipulate those a little bit more in order to find some more savings there. And the facility manager got a little bit defensive and was almost, was like, well, I've already done that. I've gone through. Be a little bit more conscientious of the audience that is going to receive this report. It may be a good idea to send your initial findings with the person that you walked with. And then at that point, then, you can send a final report to the entire facility. The last part on this is in your report, being very mindful about, right, in these scenarios, they are the ones that hired you. And so you have to be very careful about assigning tasks. So I was trying to get them to set up their automatic bills in the Energy Star website, and it wasn't received super well because they thought, oh, well, this guy coming in and just giving us more work to do. So, say just something there to be mindful of is that you're giving suggestions, but you can't assign tasks. So, overall, these audits, it was a great experience, and I'm really glad that I got to do it. I think I benefited, and I think the sites as well. Nothing else for this one that was doing really well. At least they have that understanding and knowing, like, wow, okay, we are doing really well. And the other site, you know, they got this list of recommendations that they can follow and things that they can go after. I hope you found this video useful. Please write down in the comments any other lessons that you have learned from doing your energy audits. I think it'd be great to have kind of a record and just a way to share all these people being able to read those comments and learn even more. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to subscribe if you want to see more videos around energy efficiency, energy management, all that kinds of stuff. All right, thanks so much for watching.